playoffs have been kind of a foregone conclusion for the last several weeks, given where you guys were in the standings, but does it still feel good or give you any satisfaction to clinch that spot?
I mean, it feels good to be back in the playoffs, and I'm sure for the guys that have never been there, it's an accomplishment, achievement, but it was our expectation this year, building off of last year. So I don't think anybody's overly excited. We did what we did and been in a good position. Now it's about maintaining that, and that's more the focus. I don't think anybody's extremely happy or anything. We got 5 to go and a tight race.
5 to go. They're all against 5 playoff teams. Do you think you'll learn something about your team in the stretch, or is it kind of a weird part of the season to try to judge anything?
No, I think the pressure situations with the games of, like I said, all these teams are in striking distance or trying to improve their situation. So at some point you could, I would say in the last 2 or 3, maybe 3, you'll know something standings-wise and you can figure out rest and all those things. But until then, it's more of meaningful basketball like we played last year in-season tournament and we're doing now. And you have to obviously try to keep your standing, and we'd like to be as high as we are, and so those games are meaningful in a lot of ways. And so it is going to be a pressure situation, which is good for us to sharpen us going into playoffs. And so until we know something standing-wise, we won't even think about resting guys or figuring that part out yet.
How important are nights like tonight where you guys can get ahead early and empty your bench and those guys get minutes as well as resting your starters?
Yeah, it's always nice to play low minutes in general. I think you saw it with Phoenix the other night and allowed us to be a little bit more fresh on the back-to-back. But you want to give guys reps, reward the guys for working, putting all the work that they do. And, with Fred out and Steven out, other guys were able to do that, being a major rotation, and then good to get our young bucks some reps as well that don't touch the court as much. And so as good as close games are for your experience and certain things down the stretch, those clutch games, it's good to have the comfortable wins as well and get low minutes and rest.
Is Steven dealing with an injury?
A little soreness on the wrist, that he was out for, and that was it basically. Yeah, last minute. But if we could get by without him, we could. He was available if need be.
What about the 50-win mark? Do you view that at all as a benchmark, or think that says anything about the strength of the team?
I would say that should be the minimum, and so yes, as far as that. But like I said, the expectations changed from last year to coming off of 41 wins and. What we did at the end of the year, that was, I guess, the low point would be 50 going into the season. And so, like I said, guys aren't really excited about that or making the playoffs. We know we have more work to do, and 50 is a good barometer of where you should be on a yearly basis at minimum.
Dylan's tech tonight was his 16th, which would mean you'd miss Friday's game. When will you expect to know if the league decides to rescind that?
We find out, I think, the next day usually. And so, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was I don't think it was an intentional kick, but that's not always the case if they rescind based on that. So we'll find out tomorrow most likely.
You can only control what you can control, but at this point in the season, how often do you find yourself personally checking the standings and seeing what the other teams might be doing, down below?
Yeah, in a tight race like this, you obviously see games like last night and people around you, and so we're all very familiar. I don't know how much the players check on it. We don't talk about it, but when we're in the position we're in, we can control our own destiny and continue to win games and not need help. So, you know what's around you, no doubt. And if we took care of business in some of the games we lost in that stretch or early in the season, we'd be in a little bit better position to determine rest in those things. But we got to keep playing, and so be it.
Coach, you made the playoffs, so let's check one box. But what does it mean to you to look into those players' faces, knowing that they bought into, your system and everything that you brought to the situation when you first got here?
Yeah, it's good. Like I said, I'm happy for the guys that have never experienced it, no doubt. But none of those guys are satisfied. We fell short of the goal last year, and like I said, they even without making the playoffs last year, I think guys bought in and were competitive from day one last year, and so it was never really about that. But it is good for them to be rewarded with the standings and where we're at and what we have coming forward now. So, the buy-in was from day one, and now they're reaping the rewards of that.
I know the margin was what it was, but to see Reed get 5 threes in the fourth quarter, what does that potentially do for his confidence moving forward?
Yeah, it's good to make shots at all. Always. You go to the G League and do what he did down there, and then obviously in the game in Oklahoma City, so all these are benchmarks for a young guy to come in. I think he hit 4 against Chicago, so all these are things to build off of. And all those minutes, no matter what the score, anytime you get in, those are valuable for a young guy, and you want guys to take advantage and take those situations serious. And good to see him knock them down, and something to kind of springboard him going forward.
On a separate note, the team down the street is also playing some pretty good basketball right now. Have you got a chance to see the Houston Cougars, and what can you say about the job that Kelvin's done bringing them back to the Final Four once again?
Yeah, I've caught quite a bit of the games in the NCAA tournament, and I know Kelvin from our time in San Antonio. He was there briefly with us when I was a player, and so I got to know him back then, and extremely happy for him, and he's done a great job from day one with Houston, and so definitely cheering them on. Obviously, they got a matchup coming up this weekend, and we'll be watching for sure. Haven't talked to him since I've been here, but plan on getting with him at some point soon.